If you do not have dashboards, you are flying blind. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how stuff like this gets made. Now, what I'm also going to do is explain the difference between a dashboard that looks like this and a dashboard that is used in order to get a bird's eye view of your business at a glance. So what this is, and this is for a client of mine who has been working with a lot of high-flying people in the UK, we've been able to turn their content into a system which enables them to make really, really easy strategic plays that has enabled them to generate ideas and plans for the next 30 days of content for the clients that they're working with. Now, what I want to do before I actually dive into this is explain something. When people talk about dashboards, there's something that is, people think about the, like the cockpit of an airplane and like some really fancy this, really fancy that. But the whole point of a dashboard is just to answer specific questions that will enable you to do better with your strategy. And there are two types of dashboards which enable two different types of strategy. The very first one is called an operational dashboard. Now, operational dashboards have a very, very different role to what's called, and I'll put this over here so they can still be in view, an analytical dashboard. Now, analytical dashboards are dashboards like the one that I just showed you. They're the ones where you can see things over time, you can see trend lines, you can see historical data, you can see data and events as they have been captured. The benefits of an analytical dashboard are as follows. So one of the biggest things is it shows trends over time. So that's one of the big things that you don't actually get from certain elements or most operational dashboards as I go on to explain them. So it shows trends over time. The other big thing is that it enables strategy via forecasting. If you can see how things have gone, you know what you need to do in order to prevent things from getting worse. Let's say we were talking about a specific, we'll take like a Facebook marketing example. Let's say you're running ads and funnels for a specific client. You generate their ad creatives, you edit them, you put the campaigns, you do the media buying, and you build out the funnels and the sequences and the VSLs and all of that good stuff. One of the biggest mental models that are really helpful just in general when it comes to business is bottleneck theory. It's the understanding that every single element of the entire game is a funnel. Everything from the moment that someone finds out who you are to the moment that they become a case study and a referral partner for you is a funnel. Everything from the moment that they start to see you, because not every single person who sees you is going to end up here, or even here really. A lot of the people that are going to see you are going to either become a lead, and then after they become a lead, they're going to become a qualified lead. After that, they're going to become a call, like a sales call. I'm talking about service-based businesses here because that's my bread and butter. They'll become a sales call, then they'll become a client. After they've become a client, they'll either churn out immediately because they were crap or you were crap, or they will be a successfully fulfilled client, and then after successfully being fulfilled, they can then become people who generate referrals for you on a very, very regular basis. There will be some sort of slip up along this process. If you divided all of the stages up as efficiently as you could, there's probably about 25, 30, 35 different stages there based on what your sales process is. And if we're talking about the ads and funnel situation or example, the big thing is you're going to need to understand A versus B versus C versus D, insofar as when someone comes through the funnel and they see your ad, how long are they going to see your ad for? After they've seen your ad, do they actually click? After they've clicked, do they actually convert on the page? If they convert on the page, do they actually show up to the call? And if they show up to the call, do they close? And then there's a bunch of other things even in between those. When you use an analytical dashboard and you see what happened yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before, you get to understand where the bottleneck is. If absolutely nobody is clicking on your ads suck, fix your ads. If nothing is happening beyond the point that someone books a call, let's say you're getting a ton of call bookings, but your show rate is like 5%. Well, if you turn your 5% show rate into a 10% show rate, you double your revenue because you've doubled or you've halved the size with bottleneck. So that's what an analytical dashboard is amazingly good at. It enables strategy via forecasting, and that's one of the things that absolutely needs to be in the business. And this is what I'm going to show as an example right over here. Now, what are we looking at? This is for a content agency that is building, basically does personal branding for different clients, and they do predominantly Instagram content. And a couple of things need to be looked out for. First of all, what the engagement rate is, then just in general, the views, the likes, the comments, the posts, the reels, etc., and how things have been going over time. So this is the trend line based on all of these different clients. Now it looks messy now because I haven't filtered it for any of these people. Then you have the engagement rates, and this is just a pivot table based on the engagement rates for the different types of things that are going out. So you can see here that posts are getting this and reels are getting this. And then we have the list of posts by client, and this is all of the information in here. One of the big things that we've been able to do, and I'll probably talk about this in a separate video, is the fact that we've got top 3 likes, top 3 engagement, top 3 engagement rate, top 3 views, and top 3 plays. We also have, worst plays, worst engagement, and worst engagement rate as well. These are all things that if we look at the way that these clients are doing their content, we are able to immediately generate an understanding of exactly what's working and what's not based on the information that we've grabbed. Now, how do we even grab this information? And this is kind of what I want to go into, because the design of this is very intuitive and comes only when you have a good understanding of the data underneath it. This is the N8N automation that we use in order to generate all of this information. So I'm going to walk through each of these nodes, and then I'm going to show you how they've been reflected back and forth. So this is the previous run, and the way that it worked is every Sunday, I believe, every Monday at midnight, we run a schedule. We find all of the clients' URLs, Instagram URLs, and then we turn those into an aggregate field that we can then push to Apify. Apify has an actor in it, and Apify, if you don't already know, is a scraping tool which you can use to garner information from different places. And it's not just social media platforms. You can do this for Apollo, which is used for cold email outreach. You can do this for tons and tons of different things. It's a marketplace of scrapers. Scraping has become something that you can actually do quite easily with a lot of the agentic workflows that have been going on. But this is one of the things that you can definitely use it for. And this is one of the really, really good uses that we've made out of it. So what we do is we get the posts from Instagram, and we also get the reels from Instagram for all of these clients. And we do this on a specific schedule. So every single week we grab the last 30 days of content. From there, we loop over the posts. When we loop over the posts, we search for a record in a table called Post Analytics, which is pretty simple to say is it's a database, it's a data table where there's specific fields, and those fields go from what's the name of the person and X, Y, and Z. I should be able to show it in a second. I'll show you what this looks like in a bit. Then we have the client, and then we upsert the record, which means that we either update or insert the record. The reason why we've upserted here is because every day there's content going out for these clients. However, that content generates more and more views over time. We want to stop tracking how many views they generate after a 30-day period, because you've gone past the point of you're at the point of diminishing returns at that point. Most content, and again, as somebody who is not a content expert, but has seen the trajectory when I look at different YouTube videos, when I go on like 1 of 10 and all these other Chrome extensions which show me the statistics, there's a big rise and then it tapers off. The tapering off point for a short or a reel is usually around the 30-day mark, which is the reason why we set this to what we set it to. And this is another conversation about us making sure that we do what we need to do in order to get the nitty-gritty detail correct for our clients, so that what they see is actually correct. And that's just attention to detail standards. At that point, we basically say, what was this if statement actually? Okay, so if the thumbnail exists, what we do is we don't actually run the download thumbnail scrape. which is just a HTTP request on the thumbnail field that comes out of this step here. And then we extract it, we turn it from a file into a base 64 string, and then we upload the attachment into the Airtable using Airtable's direct API. And that's what gives us these pictures down here. So that's how we're able to get a lot of these pictures in and of themselves. And then we just loop over all of the items. And then it's the exact same thing for the reels. So we grab the thumbnail and we extract it and we upload it if we don't have it. And if we do have it, then we just grab the posts and then we just run through everything. The reason why we're looping here is because we don't get an accessible way to add all of this information in, which is the first thing. And the second thing is it's very easy for one of these to fail and the entire thing and the entire automation to just stop the execution. But if we loop over it and we always output data, and then we also continue on fail and retry on fail whenever it comes to actually adding the record, then it means that if we run into a rate limit because we're doing 3 Airtable steps in a row, the most important step will always occur because we're always retrying after a break. So that's the reason why we have that set up the way that we have it set up. And this is the table. So you can see here that we have this specific client and they have this post ID, this is the thumbnail, the caption. You can see the likes, the comments, engagement rate, view count, play count, date posted, Instagram handle. Here's a link where you can literally just open the post and take a look at the item from inside of Instagram. And then you have, if it's ours or someone else's, the owner username, if it's a paid partnership, and if it's a pinned post, and if it's sponsored as well. And then you can see the statistics based on what's happened over the months. So I'm going to break down this because pretty much everything up until here comes directly from Apify, and I'll show you how it speaks to the dashboard that we have. So what's happened here is when we add all of those records into the system, it filters in or floods into a system that looks like this. Now with that system, there are specific, so you can see the thumbnail. So if I opened up any of these, you can see the post in question. You can see the caption of the post. Makes it very easily identifiable because there was actually a situation where they had seen this information the moment that we made it and they were like, this is absolutely fantastic. And then they went to a specific client's items and they said, wait, why is this the worst performer? And then there was no thumbnail and there was no caption. So when they tried to find it, it took them like an hour to find it. Then they realized that the client had actually deleted the item from their Instagram. So like having this identifiable on the actual page has been super, super clean for them. But you can see here, this is the top 3 like and top 3 like. This is a top 3 likes and top 3 engagement item. And this is what all of the posts look like. Now, everything up until here has been provided to us by Apify. And I'm going to show you how it's influencing the dashboards that we've made. The first thing is the likes, the comments, the engagement rates, they are all calculated very easily and sufficiently by Airtable. And that's the reason why we're able to calculate, like an 8.4% engagement rate, 177,000 likes or whatever it may be across all of the clients. We also get the engagement rate, which is just the engagement divided by the view count, or the engagement divided by the number of views on the post, which you can't see here for some of these that aren't actually reels. Then you have the play count, the date it was posted, the Instagram handle, and then the rest of it. Now, there are a couple of things that were inflating the results. And this is a really big thing when it comes to dashboards. A lot of people, you will intuitively know if the numbers are right or wrong. And you will know within a margin of error because you can just make these estimates. If you, for example, are looking at a dashboard that you made for yourself, for your sales team, and you know that there were 120 calls on the calendar, and let's say all of your salespeople were complaining that the leads were kind of low, but they were sat on like 3 out of 5 most days. If you see 12% show rate, even though it's directionally correct, it's very far off and you can't really make decisions off of that. That usually is because there are a couple of assumptions that are being made in the calculations that you haven't accounted for. One of the assumptions that were not accounted for were a lot of these larger performing videos that weren't owned by the user. So these are the types of posts. If I opened it, I'll show you what I mean. This isn't Clem Face's post. This is from Prince of Peckham, which is the pub. Now, these guys and these guys have a very similar size following, but it's two audiences. So if there are going to be if there's like a massive combination, or there's just like an anomaly, and that anomaly is because the client was featured on a different page, that can inflate the views. That can make certain things be top performers or worst performers when they don't need to be, or at the very least, it can make it look like the client is doing better than they actually are. And for this client in particular, when it came to these types of posts, I believe they still count as like, okay, we helped them get X, Y, and Z number of posts because they were out there and they were shooting that content. But sometimes it doesn't get the same level of respect as some of their own previously made content. So we cancel this from the calculations. Anything where owner username does not equal IG handle, we remove. And this is what this is doing. This is a formula field. This isn't a checkbox. So what we have here is this ours or is this someone else's? So you can see here, this one's owned by Prince Peckham, not by him. This one was owned by Entrepreneur Experiment, not by him. This was owned by these guys as opposed to them. Now this is actually, I think this is actually these guys anyways. So it's just a different account, but it wasn't owned by them, which is the reason why there's actually quite a lot more of it than there is for others. But you get the picture. Then if it's a paid partnership, and then if it's a pinned post. Pinned posts almost categorically inflate the views and inflate the numbers. So we remove those from the standing. And we also have the post type here, which has also been fed to us, which is what we receive based on the information from Apify. So that's kind of giving us an understanding as to how things are looking. So if you have seen any of the types of dashboards that actually drive results that can help you even understand exactly what's going on in the business, or you have a need for that, there's going to be a link in the description that you can look at. If not, take a look at some of the other videos. There's probably some other stuff that you would want to look at and enjoy.